Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time on Antigua Shipyard, featuring MontyZ, our red Protoss in the bottom left corner, and in the top right we have Baconology, the study of bacon, and he is a blue Zerg. Check that out. I've got a camera. This is going to be fantastic, showing off the moneymaker, the face of all things beautiful, my own. And I'm also going to show off this game, Masters versus Masters, Zerg versus Protoss. It's very fun. It's pretty standard, at least in the opening. You typically see a Forge Fast expand, especially on a map like Antigua, which really doesn't have the longest rush distance between the two maps. But then that can open up a lot of different doors for Zerg, depending on how many bases they want to get, how aggressive they want to be straight out of the bat, and what type of tech Protoss is going. If they're going for some sort of massive air build, you can see some really aggressive stances from Zerg, but it all basically comes down to how comfortable Zerg can be at allowing Protoss to take that second base and how easily they want to give up that base. MontyZ sending out a super early probe. He's really just throwing down that pylon and sending out his probe for that scout. Nice placement for that pylon back a little bit. He's going to be incorporating his nexus into the actual wall off right here. Sometimes you see people take a little bit more of a aggressive stance with that wall off, try to take this entire medium-sized ramp and wall it off completely with bases and units and whatnot, but it can really leave you exposed. And this more defensive placement with the pylon and the forge up by the ramp, it can kind of take a backward pseudo wall, incorporating that nexus. So hopefully we'll see that thrown completely up. Baconology throwing down that 15 pool, being again just a little bit more passive than normal. No super early pool out of him, no 10 pool, no 6 pool, so there's not going to be a lot of early Zerglings, but we will be seeing a hatchery thrown down in short order. MontyZ unfortunately scouting in the wrong direction both times. That probe will eventually make his way, oh wow, actually a secondary probe will make his way in. A really nice play by Bacon, hiding the drone in the bottom right corner next to those minerals, sneaking it by the probe, not allowing the probe to see it and throw down a pylon to scout it off. Just now noticing that indeed the hatchery did go down, but he's doing that devilish, it's such a sneaky move. They're throwing down those 3 pylons, blocking it off, making it so that nothing can run out, and also making it so that the concave that the workers can get on those pylons is pretty bad. Normally you'd see all these drones pulled 100% to come down and then kind of stack up by right-clicking on the mineral patch so that they can wail on one of those pylons. If you guys haven't seen that trick, it's really, really good. Unfortunately, Bacon's going to be relying on these 2 Zerglings to take down that pylon, and they will take down the pylon, but not before that photon cannon finishes, and those Zerglings are only going to be moderately effective. Good news for Bacon, though, is if he cancels this hatchery, he won't be that far behind. He can just throw down the hatchery somewhere else. Typically you'd see the drones already pulled, and they would have succeeded in taking down the pylons and have started to do significantly more damage to those photon cannons. But with Bacon staying on top of his mineral incomes, these harvesters are at 18/18, but he's got quite a lot of money saved up, money that he can spend to throw down a hatchery at the 3rd location instead and get a bunch of Zerglings up on the other side of this wall off. Also, he's building a spine crawler up on the high ground, which will easily outrange these pylons. Pylons are going to go down. All told, this is 450 minerals that could have been spent to get the nexus up right now for a more standard timing. As a result of that, Monty does not have he doesn't have his nexus up. His economy is a little bit behind where you'd expect it to be, still over on the harvester count, but remember, we have all that money saved up for Baconology. So once he has the larva, once he has a queen over at that base, we're going to see a ridiculous amount of workers thrown down. Monty, though, he's got his probe in position. He's going to be throwing down a pylon, probably going to try for another little rush on that hatchery, but with 4 Zerglings already out on the field, hopefully they'll be sprinting over to that 3rd to deal with the secondary pylon harassment, I guess. Oh man, that probe, wow, sneaky probe, throwing down a photon cannon at just the right time. Unfortunately, the Zerglings do force the cancel on that photon cannon, and this probe is going to be short-lived. With just 1 Zergling chasing after it, the other pylon will go down. A single pylon remains, is going to be focused down by the queen, who's got to be very careful. She really doesn't want to expose herself to that photon cannon. You can see she's taken a couple of hits already. Pylon's shields are completely down, and the probe's going to be chased home by the Zergling. It looks like this aggression out of Monty has failed. I mean, it's definitely succeeded in the fact that, Zerg has a supply lead, harvester lead, 25/25. Not the biggest lead in the world, but the gas lead is more significant. He's got 2 gas for him. There is 2 gas for Bacon, and he's just now starting to mine off of it, but he's not really spending that gas on anything. He's got 1 upgrade at the spawning pool going for that Zergling speed, as well as the lair. But he hasn't hecked as high as you'd expect him to, and he doesn't have the base count or the saturation at the natural that you'd expect of a Zerg. Yes, Protoss is only on one base, but that's not the worst thing in the world for Protoss. If there's one race that can one base, it's Protoss. Unfortunately, Bacon is going to be able to grab his third and is going to be able to mainline units off of that. We do see some secondary aggression going to be built the 3 more gateways. Is there a cybernetics core? There is, and it's not getting chrono boosted just yet. It looks like the +1 is also underway, so we're going to be seeing a very late 4 gate, but it's only late if you look at the standard timings. This matchup where the harassment from the probe has been so successful, I mean, that photon cannon definitely delayed the natural and also made it so that Zerg at the 8-minute mark has only a single drone at his natural. His economy is very much behind, so even though this 4 gate's going to be coming later than you would expect typically, this 4 gate will still hit like a hammer, especially with that +1 going to be done a whole minute before the +1/+1 for Zerg. Also, Zerg getting supply blocked, I guess, was a suicidal overlord. And actually, what did he scout? He didn't scout anything except for the fact that the Nexus is still not down with those sacrificial Zerglings. Wow, a lot of Zerglings are actually out on the field right now. Only 11, but it's going to be helpful in double checking. He doesn't see the natural as being down yet at all, so he's got to suspect, is there a third? Is there a third hidden somewhere? You want to make sure that you really do have the strong contain that you believe you do, even with this force moving out. Once you see this force, you can probably suspect that this is the sort of push that's coming with that probe also in tow. You can suspect that there's going to be a proxy pylon thrown down. Roach Warren is going to be finishing for Zerg, so Bacon's going to have roaches out on the field, and they're going to be taking advantage of that +1 armor. But at the same time, Monty is grabbing his natural over by the third. I wonder if this warp gate has made it so he can't throw down that Nexus. I don't think it has, but it is possible that it has. Not 100% sure. Zerglings poking in, just seeing quite a lot of those Zealots with that +1 now in tow, so they can two-shot those Zerglings. And with so many sentries in there, those force fields are going to be absolutely devastating against those Zerglings. But with 8 roaches on the field, a single spawning crawler is not going to be adding too much, but those roaches definitely, with this creep, will be able to do quite a lot of damage to this push. And unfortunately, Monty has fallen significantly behind as far as economy is concerned. I mean, 32 over 26, he had the lead just a little while ago, but unfortunately, he's been so slow to get that to capitalize on that lead. He could have gotten another expansion right once he noticed that the third was being built. Instead of going for that secondary harassment, he could have gone home, built a natural, maybe even built 2 bases and bunkered down on it. I think he could have done this handily. Unfortunately, now he's going to have to force the fight for his life. Pure roaches against pure gateway units. Not really in the favor of Protoss. Really good force fields, though, cutting Baconology's roaches in half. The force fields, though, expire, allowing the roaches to push right on top of the Protoss units, and the resources lost tab will tell you that entire story. I mean, those roaches are absolutely taking them to the House of Pain, coming out very well in health, and they have absolutely no issue pushing down into the bottom right corner, even taking out that third if he was aware of it. I don't think he was, but no, he was not. But he was going to suicide an Overlord in just a couple of seconds if his roaches didn't make it all the way up to that base. So, not the end of the world for Bacon by any stretch of the imagination. That's a really, really nice hold. I hate it whenever people do take advantage of that fact. In fact, if you've been watching the Heart of the Swarm stuff, they actually have unbuildable terrain at the bottom of those ramps just to deny this sort of aggression. Which I think is just banging. That's super cool. You guys are super cool for watching my replay. If you guys have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.